Hello and welcome to the New Europe studios, where you can watch us make the news. Today I'm talking with Jean-Cyril Dagallier, the head of the Africa, Caribbean and Pacific Sugar Research Programme. Now, sugar is a tremendous industry in this part of the world, isn't it? Could you tell us a little bit about the size of the industry and what you're trying to do?
It's a big industry, you know, the 3/4, the trois quarts.
The third or fourth, yeah?
Third or fourth quantity of sugar you see is coming from sugar cane.
Okay.
And the rest is coming from sugar beet.
Okay. And you're dealing with sugar cane?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And this big research program has been funded partially by the European Union. What is it trying to do?
It's a research program imagined by the ACP group of states and funded by the EU.
Yeah.
Because after the end of the common organization of the market decided by the EU after some difficulties, the EU gave the possibility to the ACP countries to have transitional phase between the prior situation and the new situation, which is directly in competition between all the countries selling sugar to the EU.
Okay.
So the ACP countries need adaptation times, need research to have to improve the competitiveness of their sugar industry.
So this is really, is this about helping them recover from perhaps being less subsidized by European nations?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, how far behind will they be if there is no improvement? Without these projects and this research, what would happen?
It's simple, and the sugar industry in the ACP country could disappear.
Okay. And how many jobs would that involve?
It's tremendous. For example, just in Mauritius, more than 40,000 people are involved in the sugar industry, between farmers, producers, industrial peoples, sailors, and so on. It's really important. So jobs are really important, and sugar is a main part of economy in several sugar islands, we can say.
Yeah. So, with the research, you're trying to help them recover and become more competitive because we've taken their subsidies away.
Yes.
And how are they coping with this? What have you found? You've finished your first stage now. So is there a hope that this industries in these places can become more competitive and survive?
Yes, it is really. For several countries, yes, it is. It's important. We have results in terms of infrastructure, scientific infrastructure. We have results in terms of knowledge about sugar, about sugarcane plants and so on. And we also have results in terms of development. It's important, really.
Okay. So, I mean, many people in Europe may not be particularly au fait with the sugar industry in the islands. This isn't just growing crops, cutting them down and then shoving them on a boat, is it? Could you tell me a little bit more about what the sugar industry and the sugar processing is for these countries?
It's an old process, you know. Sugar has been developed in the 16th century. It comes from Papua New Guinea. The origin of the plant is Papua New Guinea. It has been cultivated in India, then in Arabia. In the Middle Age, the sugar crossed the Mediterranean Sea to come from Egypt to Venice, yes. And the fortune of Venice comes from sugar at the beginning.
Very sweet for them.
and the French king, former French king, Spanish king, Portuguese king want to be rich with sugar, and they developed the sugar cultivation in the Caribbean first with Christopher Columbus, was the first, and then in Brazil, and then in south of United States, and then in the other islands. So the sugarcane could be considered as petroleum of the petroleum of today was the sugarcane.
Well, you could
in the
say
past.
it is a source of energy,
Yes,
isn't
yes,
it?
yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
So-
It's also a source of energy. Yeah.
So, I mean, what did you discover about the changes that these islands and these small nations need to make to remain competitive? Is it within reach?
Yeah, to improve first to improve the field yields. Farmer needs new varieties to produce more sugar per hectare. They need new varieties to resist to the disease. It's important to have new variety against disease, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And they need new varieties for new uses of sugarcane.
New uses.
Uses of sugarcane. We speak now about more than sugarcane biomass to produce chemicals, for example, to produce fibers, paper, board, wood board, fiber board, and so on. It's a new way. It's probably a new branch of industry to be developed, to be investigated, to have new product to be not in direct competition with Brazil, with Thailand, with Australia, and so on.
So I mean, this is quite extraordinary for a lot of people. We think of sugar as something you put in food or in your coffee, but you're coming up with all of these new ways of using it. How has this been received? Are people keen to hear about new uses for the plant?
It's new for them, but they have the knowledge how to produce sugarcane, how to produce biomass. So it's not really a problem for them to grow cane, to produce cane. But they are interested in to produce new things, new things to sell, new things to produce. It's a new development. It's a new way for them, and it's probably easier to sell this kind of goods instead of sugar.
Am I thinking, is this something that may be like the old uses of something like hemp that used to be used for clothing, for ropes, Is the sugar plant going to have almost as many uses?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes. It is, yes.
I mean,
but it's a new way to think about it. It's a new way to develop. It's a new way to. We have to imagine a new way to produce this good. We have to imagine the quality of this good. So it's a new way, really. Yeah.
So I mean, you really are talking about a whole new form of industry, a whole new form of science, a whole new form of almost chemistry.
That's it.
Coming up for all of this. How long is it going to take for these kind of possibilities to become realities?
We also have bioplastics from sugarcane biomass.
Ah, right.
Yes,
Okay.
we can produce now bioplastics to make bags, for example, and
Well, if we just stick at the moment.
destroy. Comment?
En français, s'il vous
Oui,
plaît.
c'est des sacs biodégradables.
Yes. The biodegradable.
Biodegradable.
So, because one of the things that we're talking about, and we've all seen a shift to in Europe, is with using little bags from the shops where they're either being banned or something. So
It's
maybe if we get some from
it's possible.
from sugar,
and we know how to do that.
And these are safe to
It's ready.
dispose of.
Yes, it is. It's ready to be shared with the industry. So the prototype exists in Mauritius, for example.
Yeah.
For example, we also have chemicals. We also have medicaments.
Medication.
Medications, yes, from sugarcane. We also have waxes for painting and so on.
Painting.
Yeah. Component of painting. Yes. So
Carry on. This is
No. Really, it's interesting. For a long time, we only developed sugarcane for sugar.
Yep.
And we waste a lot of components. But now we have to look at the waste.
I mean, when you're talking about waste, I mean, if we're using a sugarcane crop for sugar,
yes, only for sugar.
How much?
And rum. Sorry.
We'll get on to that vitally important component later. But You know, what I'm saying is, if we're doing it for sugar, how much are we wasting of the crop currently? How much of that could be used in, say, 10 years'
You have
time?
only 12%
12%.
of sugar in the sugarcane.
Right.
So if you bring to the sugar factory 1 ton of sugarcane, you can imagine you have only 120 kilos of sugar. The rest is wasted.
Right. And what you're saying now is, with these new things that you're looking at, you're investigating and researching,
How
the 12% sugar, fine.
Yes.
The rum, fine.
Nice.
But we've
And the
now
rest?
got 88% of stuff that was useless, was worthless,
That's right.
is now going to be useful.
Yes. The first is energy,
Mm-hmm.
and a sugar factory produces its own energy. It's totally independent in terms of energy. When you burn bagasse is the fiber after the process. You have bagasse.
Yeah, yeah.
It's only the fiber. You press a sponge, you extract the juice, and then you have the bagasse. So you burn the bagasse, and you have enough energy to power the factory, and to produce more, to produce electricity for the grid.
Okay.
So first thing. The second thing, from the bagasse, the rest of the bagasse, you can extract chemicals with bioprocess and so on. And from this kind of extraction, you can have a lot of components.
I mean, it has been very, very disturbing for these nations to go through the stage of having to completely rethink how one of their main industries is going to cope. But this, I mean, I'm getting slightly confused here, because we're not used to having such good news stories come out. You're saying that this can help the nations keep their economies going. There's probably a case for expansion, and the whole thing does seem to be a bit more sustainable than before.
I think so.
Because
you have new market, you can develop knowledge, you can train students in these new ways of production. You need trained students, you need engineer, you need researcher, and so on. So it's really important, I think, for the future.
Yeah, I mean, as new techniques, new uses, there are obviously more jobs.
Yeah.
There's obviously more trade. There's obviously more of it, because in many of these areas, you know, sugar islands, as they're sometimes called,
Right.
they're not doing particularly well on the development scale of things, you know. And what potential have you seen for human development in this research that you've done?
I think it's tremendous. I cannot tell how much, really. I cannot put a number of but in my mind, I think it's really tremendous.
I mean, you come across as a man who was given a research program to do.
Yeah. And
you seem just so completely, genuinely happy.
Yeah.
That we're not used to seeing this from people who do research.
We will probably have new partners for the program, such as universities. Universities are not now involved in the sugar industry. It's not their problem. It's not their purpose. But with these new components, with these new goods, we need new ideas. We need new laboratories. We need new techniques. And universities are now involved in the program.
Now, I mean, the other thing is that sugar, the way that it spread, was often it was a tool of colonialism. It was a tool
it is, yeah.
of doing that. And of course, one of the concerns is that, I mean, we've changed our views now. We've changed our perspectives. This new research and these new staff and these new training, these new jobs, are these going to be, as it were, coming from the West and landing there, or are you going to grow this on a local level?
It's also endogenous.
Okay.
They have the knowledge, basically. And many students from this country, in the United States, in Europe, in India, elsewhere. So it's possible for them to come back to the country, and work for the country, for the local economy.
I mean, surely, I mean, as I say, you finished your first stage and you've made these conclusions that do seem to be extremely positive. What is the second stage? Of your project then? What do you do?
The project will end at the end of next year, 2015, and we are thinking about a new phase, a new project, and we launched recently a call for proposal to have ideas about what is in the preparations, who is interested in, how much is it, and so on. So we have a list of new projects, new proposal, new institution interested to work in this area. So the new phase could be the starting point of this new industry, also the old industry, the sugar industry, but we have idea about the new industry. And probably the next project will take into account these new needs and these new possibilities.
Okay, so I mean,
it will be the phase 2. We called it a phase 2. It's not the proper term, but
no. So I mean, I would say then that the first stage is done, which has shown the possibilities and the opportunities and how to begin to look into them. And the second stage is people have seen this evidence that you've produced and have gone, that looks good, we want in.
That's it.
And if that doesn't persuade people that you found something, then you really haven't you? You could very well be onto something very exciting.
Yes, and I think it's really a good result. It's a result from, really an outcome from the phase 1, if you can say. It's a new starting point, and we have 2 results, in fact. The new ideas, the new possibilities, and the new networks we have we built.
So this is very good news, not just for some of the more disadvantaged parts of the world. They're parts also of the ACP regions, which is very close to the hearts of many people in Europe and in the institutions. And I'd like to say thank you very much for coming up and showing that science and research can give us the deliveries that we need to improve our lives, and it shows the value of innovation for us and for other regions as well. Don't forget, you can always come down here, watch us at work, get some drink, get some fine food, and we look forward to seeing you here.